This video was brought to you by Tired of the same old superhero movies coming out of the West? Want a break from the stale, oversaturated corporate pipeline and to escape the omnipresent agenda?
Boner.
Don't worry, for Hollywood is dying, and a new challenger has emerged from the distant lands of Russia. Guardians. Crafted by true patriots and real men, it will turn the tide, dethroning Hollywood once and for all. The future is bright. If you're wondering why I'm in a bunker, well, let me tell you a story. The year was 2017. Society was healthier, the memes crunchier, and the world obsessed with superheroes. So a man named Sarik Andreasyan had a brilliant idea. A film that would be Russia's answer to Marvel, a patriotic masterpiece of cinema toppling his previous hits, such as Sex Competition and The Pregnant. He called it Guardians. But as the curtains rose and lights dimmed, the audience was quick to realize that the movie was fucking trash. It was not good. It tanked at the box office, making less money than Morbius, in France alone, and the studio behind it went bankrupt within a year. So, what went wrong? To find out, we must thoroughly dissect the film and examine the fundamental flaws of Russian media and its effects on society. Begin the autopsy. The opening sequence isn't that bad. It goes kinda hard, but overdoes it with the edginess, making it all look very goofy. Then the movie begins with the military testing these droidica-looking ass spinning robots before they start malfunctioning and kill the entire science team. We're then introduced to the villain, Avgust Kuratov, who sneaked into the base through the weirdly thick fog, I guess. Also, come on, he looks like a wrestler cosplaying a toddler. What about him is meant to be intimidating? We cut to a Ministry of Defense meeting where for the next few minutes this general guy explains the entire lore to us, and basically there was a secret Soviet project aimed at creating superhumans, led by Professor Dobronravov, who's a good guy because his name literally translates to good-natured.
Good character.
Well, I get it. It's very clever.
And Kuratov, who was working on a different, unsuccessful project, got jealous and stole all of Dobronravov's research to conduct unethical experiments on humans. Upon being exposed, he escaped arrest by blowing up his lab, which for some reason mutated him into a baby wrestler, and now, half a century later, he's back for revenge and wants to take over the world. God, this is fucking stupid. So, Kuratov has a remote that lets him control all tech, because of which the army can't stop him, even though that doesn't really make sense. Like, how does he control mechanical devices that require physical human input to work? I don't think it works like that. What, does the Russian military secretly use Teslas for all their vehicles? Even then, why not just shoot the damn son of a bitch? Don't tell me the bullets were made by Elon too. I also think it's important to note how, despite the movie obviously having a patriotic angle, the portrayal of the Russian army is a bit too accurate, let's say. Like, they're so inept that they get railed by a single guy with a conductor for a hand. Bro, just spray tap water on him and you're done. Keep this in mind because it will become very important in a bit. The general decides that in order to defeat Kuratov, they must find the people he experimented on, so he tasks this lady with tracking them down.
What's the name of my mission?
Huh? Wait, did they just show the title of the movie a second time? What's weirder is that in the trailer, they just say it out loud.
What's the name of the mission?
Guardians.
So they deliberately cut that line out and replaced it with a title sequence, even though they already had one 10 minutes earlier? Our first stop is a monastery in Armenia where we meet Ler, who has the power of earthbending. Now, the dialogue in this movie is pretty bad. This shit is so awkward and choppy, it's outright confusing why things happen at times. Like the agent lady approaches Ler saying, "Hi, I'm from the military," to which he lifts up a bunch of rocks, slowly approaches her, says, "You used me like a guinea pig," and then just drops the rocks.
Excuse me, you're Lernick, right? I'm Major Lorena. I'm supervising Patriot now.
You were the ones who used me as a guinea pig, then you just threw me out.
I've come here to offer you an opportunity for revenge.
Revenge? It's too late. All the enemies I know are dead.
August Kuratov's alive.
I knew it. From now on, call me Lair. Lernick's been dead for many years.
10 out of 10 dialogue, best exchange I've ever seen, I guess. We then go to Kazakhstan, where we meet Han, whose superpower is running very fast. Hold on. If he was holding two blades like that, how did he cut that guy right down the middle? And now that I'm thinking about it, how did he even run through the car while still dealing damage with the blades? Although, to be fair, this is the only legitimately cool scene in the entire film, so I'll let it pass. Wait, how did Ler get here? We didn't see him approach the area in any of the previous shots, so did he just teleport? And if Han was fighting some bad Kazakh mafia bosses, why did Ler just stand there and not help him? Next, we're going to Siberia, where a bunch of guys are hunting for our next character. Mother of Christ, the bear from Russia and the bear hasn't been the same since the accident. I love how he just wrecked his own house when he didn't even need to. Like, this shit's gonna take some time to fix, I bet. And once again, why are they all just standing there? Help him, goddammit! Also, the bear guy's name is Arceus. Definitely not stolen from Marvel's Major Arceus, who also turns into a bear. Suspicious. The last member of the Dian crew is Ksenia, who can turn invisible when she's wet. According to her, she also doesn't age, can control her body temperature, and is immune to hot and cold. As soon as the others meet her, they all start fighting, which is then explained by her having amnesia and not remembering that they were friends. But then, why didn't the others act surprised when she attacked or tried to explain themselves? And then she agrees to help, thinking that she'll learn about her past that way, as if the others can't just tell her? This whole scene is honestly very confusing and kind of bleeds into the rest of the film, as Ksenia's amnesia has no impact on the story anyway. Makes me wonder why they even wrote it in. Though the movie had received over 50 million from the Federal Cinema Fund, which probably made Sarik excited to craft the most ambitious movie of his career, I bet he was playing tug of war with the writers until things went terribly wrong. And that was only the first sign of trouble to come. Like, we then find out Kuratov's been making clones? As if he wasn't already overpowered with the remote. I get the writers needed an excuse to reuse the same model 1500 times, but they just shoved them in out of nowhere and don't elaborate. We don't even know who they're clones of. Luckily, the internet had actually solved this mystery, believe it or not. After carefully examining clues from the scene, people figured out that Kuratov cloned them from Titanfall. Really seems like they weren't putting that money to good use, huh? Though 50 million rubles was like free kromer, so it wouldn't be as big of a deal if the government wasn't onto them. So the gang then tries to storm Kuratov's base, which goes about as badly as you'd imagine. Coincidentally, it's raining, so Ksenia goes invisible and... Great. Can control body temperature, my ass. Immune to hot and cold, my ass. Also, wow, how unlucky that she just happened to walk under tubes filled with liquid nitrogen. Things get worse though, as the fastest man alive gets taken out with a fucking tranquilizer dart, and the bear just gets stuck in a net. Meanwhile, Ler fights Kuratov and gets his ass completely handed to him, after which, instead of killing him, Kuratov just leaves him behind and takes the others hostage? Ah, he did it so the military can pick him up later, right, of course. Kuratov meets the others in his lair and proposes they form an alliance, to which they ask a reasonable question.
And why would we help you?
Why suggest an alliance with your enemy if they'll probably just backstab you? Why even keep them alive at all? Why not kill the only people who can stop you? Kuratov responds by leaving them to think about it, as he goes to invade Moscow, which is when we find out that the general was a traitor all along. Oh my god, who cares? Oh no, Kuratov betrays the general and he's dead now. Oh my god, who cares? The agent lady visits Ler in a hospital and asks him if he's feeling better, to which he, out of nowhere, starts giving a long and boring monologue about his dead daughter. This right here is a pretty big issue of the film. The writers don't know how to make us care about the characters, so they make them randomly say something very sad that has no impact on the story and then just hope that that's enough? But that's not how writing or humans work. Then suddenly the Branravov appears. Yes, he's still alive, and no, they didn't know that apparently.
I knew that we were all in danger, so I came.
With his help, they heal Ler, track down Kuratov's lair, and free the others.
The Ministry of Defense has put me in charge of directing this operation. We have to stop Kuratov, so our next move...
Give him a minute.
Wait, why is Han pissed now? Did they cut a scene where they had an argument? Did they cut the only scene where the main characters talk to each other? Then Arsus vents about his crush on Ksenia and fear of accidentally no-clipping into full bear mode with no way of turning back, neither of which go anywhere obviously. Then they find out Kuratov's plan, which involves taking a television tower halfway across the city, putting it on another tower, so it's like high enough, then using the signal to hijack an old space laser station and use it to destroy the world. Yeah, even the characters aren't impressed. Then the writers attempt to make us care about Han.
I had an older brother. Abai.
Yeah, his brother died, very sad, who cares, shut up, all your lines sound straight out of r/I'm14 and this is deep.
In this world, even good has to clench its fists. It's foolish to stand in the way of a deadly warrior.
At least his poor lip syncing is consistent with the Russian dub.
У меня был старший брат. Абай.
Legends say there was initially a lore dump about some Shadow Clan, but production started falling apart, so it was cut and dubbed over as damage control. Little did Sarik know though, it was about to get much worse. The gang is then given cool new gadgets to help defeat Kuratov, which is kinda counterintuitive considering they function using electricity. Ksenia gets a suit with a built-in vibrator that lets her turn invisible at will. Arsus gets a machine gun, and Ler is given a whip, because apparently his biggest weakness was not having enough rocks around him.
In your last fight, your skills were neutralized because you didn't have any access to rocks.
Even though there were rocks present in every scene, and him losing to Kuratov was purely a skill issue. Come to think of it, aren't all buildings and roads made out of stone and other such minerals? Technically, Ler could just collapse Kuratov's tower and his plan would fail instantly. Either the characters are complete morons or the writers have a very specific definition of rocks that they didn't bother to explain. We then get a long and kind of boring action sequence where they storm the tower to fight Kuratov, and oh no, the weapon they gave to Arsus malfunctions, who could have known? For some reason, they take turns attacking him as opposed to working together, and when they do team up, for the first time in the movie I might add, Ksenia holds Ler's hand and turns him invisible, which doesn't do anything because Kuratov can clearly see where the attack is coming from. Unsurprisingly, they lose, but do not worry, the great Russian bear will save them. Dear fucking god, you're actually pathetic. Han then uses a grappling hook to tie them to a plane, which makes them fly away, and then he cuts the rope and they fall into water, and I want to blow my brains out. Then the ancient lady arrives and tells them that the real treasure was the friends we made along the way, and I'm not making this shit up. They hold hands, create a giant fireball, shoot it at the tower, and save the day. Yay, the power of friendship. Remember when they bonded? Me neither! We also don't know what happened to Kuratov, but he's probably not doing too well considering his actor got arrested for inciting a riot in a bar? Wait, what? I guess things really weren't looking great for Sarik. The deadline was approaching, and so were the cops, and he had one last chance to fix this. So he took to Twitter in an attempt to generate hype. Hashtag, I'm going to see Guardians because I made it. Aww. However, the unthinkable happened. People started mocking him. Massively, until inevitably he got ratioed. And then they never made the next one. According to Sarik, it was all because of Deadpool 2. Really? Deadpool 2? A movie nobody even remembers existed? Apologies to Deadpool 2 fans, I'm sure you exist somewhere. Yeah, no, I think it had more to do with the fact his studio shut down, and also his movie sucked and nobody liked it. But maybe that's the point. I'm not saying Sarik made a bad movie on purpose, he's more of a wannabe Kojima than anything, but over the last decade I've been noticing a trend of the Russian government promoting incompetent people's shady projects that nobody asked for, seemingly with zero oversight, which has had some pretty major consequences. And Guardians is a great demonstration of that. The movie tries to be patriotic and stick it to the West, while also choking on the phallus of one of America's biggest cultural exports. Even more baffling is the portrayal of our heroes, who are pathetically incompetent and only win thanks to a deus ex machina. It absolutely does not portray them or the Russian state as brave, heroic, or skilled. But if you just squint your eyes, the movie has the illusion of being pro-Russian. It's what I call a vaguely patriotic film, the kind Russia makes all the time. But why is it this way? Russian cinema, much like everything else, is dominated by the government and a handful of businessmen, each having only one goal: silence of opposition and money, respectively. As a result, the industry is pathetically underdeveloped. There is no talent or skill, nor are they wanted. The only projects to get funding are cheap flicks useful for money laundering, with the government having zero checks beyond ensuring they are vaguely pro-Russian. What we end up with are movies branded as patriotic, but filled with AI-generated levels of incohesive messaging, contradictory concepts, and morally questionable protagonists, creating an illusion of patriotism while undermining what makes it meaningful in the first place. And although claiming Guardians has much cultural significance is rather overdramatic, zooming out a little reveals a wider world of insane ramblings and contradictory stories that lack a single narrative, and yet are dangerously effective. Because if you can get people to support something so stupid, what wouldn't they follow? So that was, who's there?
It's me, Loomhigh. Come with me to the outside world.
Wow, I honestly thought Guardians wiped out everyone else.
Nuh-uh, far from it. Take a look at this.
Oh no. It can't be.
I wish I could turn into a bear.